Hello, one and all. Welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. I sincerely hope everybody is doing amazingly well whenever this video finds you, no matter what time of day or night it is. If you are brand new and this is the first time that you are here, welcome, welcome. And if you are a subscriber already, also welcome. Everybody is welcome here. So today I thought what we would do is messages from your 5D future self. So I think before I've done messages from your future self and messages from 5D, but we're putting them together right now because there's a lot going on, a lot coming to fruition. So we're going to be channeling the higher self of you that knows everything that you're going through right now and get you some beautiful answers. So, and some advice and some whatever we can get you, some messages of hope and love always. And don't forget that these sessions are set up for also healing, and they're set up for activation too. We have our beautiful healing candle here that has our magic, beautiful healing. It's like healing and abundance oil that I made under the full moon many, many moons ago. But that is definitely setting up the beautiful energy here. So if you want to release and move on, you can release that to the flame, or if you want to bring in manifestation and healing, you can do that too. So several different layers going on here. So we have 3 piles as usual. So for pile 1, we have lighthouse. Now I just want you to get with the energy of the word lighthouse and not get too obsessed with what the cards actually mean just yet. So the first pile is lighthouse, the second pile is feather, and the third pile is raindrops. So I'll give you, and we have some tarot underneath here too. So lighthouse. So take as much time as you need. Feather and raindrops. So these represent sort of the energy of your piles. And then underneath we have our Halloween tarot, because October is the best month. If you're born in October, I'm so jealous. The best month. The veil is much thinner. There's a lot going on. Coming into Scorpio. We're in Scorpio season. I think we just went right into Scorpio season. It's a beautiful time of year. I know Mercury is in retrograde. We've got other planets in retrograde too, but this is an excellent time for delving deep and for those last remnants of things that need to be released to come up and to go for good. So we definitely wanted to get with a Halloween theme, so that's why we have the tarot, and we also have lots of other oracle cards that will get you some more answers with. So take as much time as you need. If you need to pause the video, that's totally fine. Only you know, always go with your own intuition. The more aligned you are with the reading, the more it will resonate. So definitely take some breaths and really ground into your energy, come right back into your body, and just anything that's happened for the day, anything that the worries, what you feel like you need to get to, just leave that at the door for now, so we can get you some inspiration, some alignment, some healing, some activation, whatever it is that you need. So again, lighthouse, feather, and raindrops. So let's go ahead and move these to the side for now. So if you went ahead and picked lighthouse, you are pile 1. And don't doubt your worth is your mantra here. Don't doubt your worth. Absolutely. That is your card. And as just to remind you, we are getting messages from your 5D future self. With timelines that could be an aspect of yourself already, but it's your future self. It's the part of you that already knows these answers already, or already knows what's going to come up. So all of this should resonate. You should already know it. But sometimes we just need validation. So let's see what we have here. So we have the Queen of Imps. So the Queen of Wands is here, and then we have the Queen of Bats, the Queen of Swords. So couldn't ask for anything better here. Your message from your 5D future self, pile 1, is absolutely do not doubt your worth. You've got 2 queens here. It's what you're doubting specifically is that getting in touch with that feminine side of who you are. Now, you've worked for the divine feminine. This has got nothing to do with the gender, what gender you are, but you've come in to protect the feminine, the divine feminine, and that's what you do in this lifetime. And you've dedicated yourself, and you do that very well. And you know what it is to have the feminine aspects of self, regardless of gender. Again, this goes beyond gender, but there's a little bit of the missing part here, pulling down that last wall. I saw something recently that was very inspiring, and somebody was talking, and something really, really simple sort of hit home. Women's power has been, it's been taken apart, it's been dumbed down, it's been even killed. It's not been the divine feminine, it's not been celebrated in many, many hundreds of years. So coming back to that understanding, to that initial wound of that, and bringing that into fruition for you, you may be very much in tune with your divine feminine and understand the beauty of working with the intuition and your intuition in such an extreme and beautiful way. But there's still an aspect of you that you're being asked to sort of pull down that wall, and the doubt, not doubting your self-worth. A lot of your introspection, a lot of who you are, actually the way in which you articulate yourself actually really comes from the divine feminine. You're equally balanced between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. No one's saying anything about that. That's wonderful. But your power actually really comes from the divine feminine. So when you activate that power, it's seemingly silent at times, and sometimes it feels like you're on the outskirts looking in, and a lot of it may seem a little passive to you. And a lot of these are general readings, but for those of you who are like, I wish I could step up a little more, I wish I could do this, I could be a little bit more active, and then you're getting down on yourself, and then it goes into self-doubt. All you need to do, your future self is saying, is really understand that your power comes from the divine feminine. The way in which you articulate yourself is actually from the divine feminine. Now, again, your foundation is very clearly balanced between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, but you are here as a representative for the divine feminine. Now, there's nothing passive about how they move. Sometimes they can, and for most of you, if somebody pisses you off, you can really go for them. You might have to be really, really pushed to that outer edge, but when you do, you don't hold back. So you can be fierce. That's not what we're saying. You know that you have that to your personality, but there's, sometimes you're wondering about the get up and go. I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to put myself out that way. I don't want to market myself that way. I don't want to do it that way, the way that other people have done it and then gain success. And then you wonder, if it comes back to, do I not trust my worth? Do I not think I'm good enough? The practical mind comes in and tries to solve the problem for you, which again, that never works for you, Pal One. All it is you're original. You're doing things on your own terms. Now, you've come past the understanding of like trying to compare yourself to other people. You've done that before. Even though you didn't want to go in that direction, you automatically did sort of compare yourself to people who are doing things in a very specific way that you didn't really want to do. And then you were going round in a loop and saying, I've done this again. Why am I putting myself through this? Because, I can't compare myself to somebody who's using a certain model in the world that I don't want to follow. But you've done that. You've outgrown that. But there's still a part of you that's wondering, how do I step up? How do I fully embrace the divine feminine here? Because that's really where your power comes from. And you're here to show that power. And sometimes it is silent. And sometimes it is on the sidelines. But it's not passive. So your future self is asking you to really redefine the aspect of power equals divine feminine. What does that mean for you? How did that get picked up and monopolized and then sort of shifted consciousness from the outside world, from like the way in which we were socialized and told that, women were passive or divine feminine was passive, or having that power, or that coming from that sense of power was over emotional, not to be taken too seriously, all of that stuff. How is it that all of that came into fruition for you and somehow integrated into your consciousness? Now, you've done so much work, you've done so much shadow work, and it's not the time in history, it's not the time right now, we're not in the timeline to heal anymore. You've done all of the healing. Now, there may be things for you to allow, like, some of the repressed stuff to come up and to release once and for all, but there's no work to be done. What needs to be done is a redefining of terms, and then a re-strengthening of power based on new terms that absolutely simplify everything and believe and really sum you up who you are in this lifetime, not who you think you should be or who other people think you should be. So your message is to redefine what the divine feminine, specifically how she stands in that power, what that means to you. And if there's anything that you've integrated, some other aspect of that you've integrated throughout your other lifetimes, but particularly in this lifetime through society, really come to terms with that and release it. Society is crumbling. It's crumbling at its absolute core right now. The world is going to be very different in 10 years time, almost unrecognizable in some ways. So, how does that society's terms of power and how you use it, how has that influenced you, and how can you go in, scoop it out, and release it for good? Again, just to reiterate, there's no more healing that needs to be done. You've really done the work. It's a small redefining of how you do things. You're very original. You will be doing things very differently. Now, when you see a successful model, and people have gone out and done it a certain way, marketed a certain way, and this, that, and the other, that's wonderful. It's worked for them, and 2 thumbs up there. But it's not the way that you want to work, and that's not the only way for you to work. Now, when you pull down that wall and really understand the power behind the divine feminine, really embrace it and pull it into your existence, the way in which you move forward will become entirely not only possible, but you'll be able to see it. Right now, your practical mind is trying to figure out your next move. You've figured out what you don't want. That's wonderful. But what you do want and how you move forward on your own terms hasn't quite presented itself. It's presented itself in little pieces here and there, but it hasn't come into fruition. It hasn't sort of marked the path that you can move down. And this is a time for action for you. This is a time for you to move forward. You've learned everything that you needed to do. You're ready to be of service. You're ready to take off. You're ready for your energy to be recognized. But you need to recognize the power in you, the divine feminine, and how powerful that is first. So let's get you some messages from Lord Ganesha here. So doubting your worth, when it comes down to it, you don't really doubt your worth. Again, it's this practical mindset that's coming in because you don't know how to move forward. And there's still an aspect of you that doesn't fully believe that you have the kind of power that you need to get out there. Yes, a lot of people are using masculine traits to get out there and to gain success, but you have that action. You have the masculine traits in order to do that. There's nothing wrong with your masculine side and your go-getter side and that action, that kinetic energy of moving forward. You know how to do that. You just don't want to do it in that way. You're also comparing yourself to people who have done this pre-sort of pandemic or pre-sort of when the world looked a little bit different. And that model is still working for people, and that's wonderful. But the world is shifting and changing. The way in which you will be out in the world will present a new way to be out in the world. So just do things the way that you want to, with the understanding of the power that you truly have. I always say, ask what your mind is saying, and then ask what your heart is saying. When you doubt, when you're sitting there and your practical mind is coming back into loops and saying, maybe we're not good enough. Maybe we're not ready to go out there. That's not the truth at all. You're absolutely ready. It's just this relationship that you have with power and the divine feminine. That's it. Now, again, there's nothing more to do with that. You've created this space for the divine feminine. You know how powerful you are. But the way in which you work in the world is absolutely designated by the divine feminine. And there's a beauty to that. I mean, sometimes your power comes from not saying much. You don't need to. Your power exudes what it is that you want to say. I think too many people talk too much in this lifetime. You're going to have to say less, and you'll be more powerful by saying less. And that's a beautiful trait to have. So honor it. All of that can be honored once you understand that your power comes from the divine feminine, and everything you need to represent yourself in this lifetime will come from the aspect of the divine feminine, and it will be more than powerful enough. So when you come into these loops but I'm not being where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I'm, doubting myself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Check in with your mind. Your mind will say, yeah, you're not good enough, right? Then check in with your heart. That's where your intuition, your mind at that point, it's not divine masculine. It's the masculine mind taking over, trying to help you. And trying to control the situation. But your heart will be in the divine feminine. It will be aligned. It will tell you exactly what you need to know. Of course, you're good enough. You just don't know how to find the way. The way in which you find the way is to release into the power of the divine feminine and understand how powerful it is. It's about time you got your magic back. Once you work from your own sense of magic, you will really understand that connection between power and the natural world. You understand it on a preliminary level and a somewhat deep level. The deep level is for many, many different lifetimes. You're being asked to connect to it on your own terms in this lifetime. So let's see what Lord Ganesha has for you here. So yes, absolutely healing. This is the last part of the healing. Now, again, you don't need to heal. It's just a little bit of tweak in consciousness. It's about going in and regrouping. When you do a CV, or what do you call them here, resumes, and somebody comes in and goes, "Oh, I don't like. I'm gonna change this one word. It sounds better if you put it." That's all it is. It doesn't change what's on the resume. You've done all of that work. You're not lying. You're not changing it. You're tweaking it so it makes you. It makes you look more powerful, accessible, hireable, right? That's why you do that. That's all this is, going in and tweaking sort of your manifesto, your manifesta, and being really clear about who and what that is and what that says about you. The healing's already been done. You don't need to do any of that. It's about the last part of this and bringing down that wall too. There is a part of you, these are general readings, but for some of you who are resonating with this, just sit with this. If it's a triggering for you, that means you really need to work on it. But you're really being asked to be honest about how powerful you believe the divine feminine is in this world. Like, you understand the power of the divine feminine, but if you embraced all of the divine feminine, how much of your psyche really believes that true power can get you exactly where you need to be? Ask yourself that. If there is a part of you that doesn't quite believe it, all you need to do is release and tweak that part of you that has just honestly been influenced by society, and it's absolute rubbish. It's not true, but it's very much in keeping with who you are. Your power is immense, but it's very driven by the divine feminine, and good for you, honestly. Positive outlook too. Yeah, when you're going down in your spiral there, pile one, and you're not seeing where you are right now, and you know that you've done the work and you've done a lot of work, but you're not seeing the success that you want, and then your practical mind comes in and tries to quote unquote solve it, right? Which is the worst thing it can do, because your practical mind is really not educated. It's not open enough to really give you all the resources you need to make the proper decisions in your life. It's trying to control the situation, keep you safe. And that doesn't really work, right? So when you're in this loops of going into self-doubt, you may come out of your positive outlook, and you might go into this, oh, woe is me, I don't know what's going on right now, and just sort of let that melancholy kind of come in. You don't invite it in, but this looping of how you work invites it in, and then it's more difficult for you to shed it. There's no reason for you to have to do that. We're also doing the true love cards reading while we're talking about this. There's no reason for you to let in any of that melancholy. As soon as you feel yourself going in that direction of doubting your power, or doubting the way you will use your power, if it will be enough in this lifetime, then you just cut it short and say, we're going this direction again. Check in with your mind. It will tell you something. Check in with your heart. It will tell you that you're absolutely fine. Your intuition is perfect. And then you can really sort of release that sort of, and it's like cloud. It's this cloud that comes in, this vapor that kind of comes in and around you, this self-doubt, and it kind of lingers and it wants to stay with you because you're so light-filled. But once it comes in, that's when the positive outlook kind of goes out of the window, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to watch 16 episodes of this on Netflix, and I'm going to do that. Nothing wrong with that, but it takes you further away from your outlook, from what it is that you want to achieve. So it's when this starts happening and you start getting into this mindset, check into the mind, check into the heart, and then do the work to not only release the doubt, but trace it back. Trace it back to this power. How have I forfeited my power maybe in the past? You know, this could be past stuff too for some of you. You've worked in this sort of divine feminine way, and you've given people the benefit of the doubt, and you've been quote unquote fucked over, right? You know, real truth here. Pardon my French. And, you know, you're likening that to, you know, part of yourself may have shut that down. And you didn't necessarily see it as weakness, but at the same time, you didn't come out on top in any of these situations. You weren't treated that well. So obviously you're going to cut out the one thing that you want to avoid that in the future. But that was just for you to learn certain things going through your life. Certain situations brought you mirrors. You needed to go through it. You were never supposed to doubt the power of the divine feminine, or ever doubt the power of how beautiful you are and how open and beautifully hearted you are. So don't even bring in the past of how you worked with the divine feminine before and it didn't bring you success. It brought you heartbreak. That's something that you may have to look at too. And again, just release the notion. You've done all the healing about all that other stuff. Just release the notion now of the power being completely in the divine feminine. That's it. That's all you need to do. So we have these true love cards here. Yes, worthiness. Your worthiness comes from really embracing all aspects of the divine feminine. And that includes her fierceness too. I mean, look at these queens with their familiars here. I mean, they are they've got this beautiful imp here giving a flower saying, hey, I want to be your friend, or maybe something more. You know, you have this magnetic side to you that's absolutely beautiful. And like when it's all clicked into the divine feminine, there's nothing that you can't do. You can literally wrap anybody around your little finger, and you know you can do that. And, you know, it's not manipulation. It's just charm. You're charming. You know what you do. You work differently. Even some of you, the way in which you walk. You know, you have this sort of swagger to your walk. When you walk into a room, people absolutely notice you. And it should be that way. So embrace all parts of that and use it to your advantage. You're at your manifestation. For you to move into pre-manifestation mode, all you need to do, again, is to reclaim that full power of the divine feminine, and equate it and match it to your own personal magic in this lifetime. It'll really bring it back to the core of who you are. There's so much ancient magic. There's so much power with the divine feminine when they all meet. And a lot of that has been, again, dumbed down and lost. But you're going to bring that back in this lifetime. You're going to stand for that in this lifetime. That's going to be the epitome of who you are. It's for you to embrace this part of who you are now. So I just wanted to, this is the ones that we started off with. It's from the same magic. Believe in your own magic. And I felt that this was definitely necessary for you. Nostalgia. Focus on the here and now. Absolutely. We just said don't go back and judge your present from the past and how, you know, the divine feminine worked for you in the past. And don't see any of that past things as failures. Again, they were mirrors for you to understand. There are certain lessons for you to learn. You've learned them and you've moved on. It wasn't a test of your divine feminine. Please stay in your here and now, in the present moment. That's where you have true power. Don't bring in instances from the past to try and justify how you protect your divine feminine. She doesn't need protecting. Unleash her within your soul, unleash her onto the world. That's what you need to do. So I've got two of these here making magic and fairy dust. I'm feeling fairy dust for you because that real light energy and getting back into the magic of who you are is kind of the energy that I'm feeling for you here. I feel like this is what you need. So what do we need from your future 5D self? This is really a very sort of play-by-play of how to get to where you need to be, or how to get to, that's, oh, trust. Breathe in, breathe out, let go of doubt. Don't doubt your worth, let go of doubt. This is a surefire way, pile one, to get back into your real supreme understanding of your power. Again, you've done all the healing. Just really unleash that inner divine feminine. Let that power uproot everything that's happened before, and let that intuition take over and lead you down this adventurous, beautiful, original path. Yes, that has been laid out before you, that probably you would not have manifested for yourself, because you are going to be doing things a little bit outside of the box. You're very unique. You've already decided there's many different things that you don't want. You've decided what you don't want. Now let in the power of what you do want. So just a little tweak in consciousness there. Your 5D self is already working with you. Your 5D blueprint of who you are is already out there. It's just a little tweaking of an essence of power and how you feel about that power. So if this resonated with you, pile one, do feel free to give me a thumbs up. I've got 2 thumbs, but feel free to give me a thumbs up. I love a little like, and do let me know in the comments, of course. And if you have not subscribed, we would love to have you here at Unicorn Light Tarot. That would be wonderful. And go ahead and hit that bell icon too, so you can be notified twice a week when beautiful messages and healing and activations and whatever it is that you need, support, comes up for you twice a week. We would love to have you here at Unicorn Light Tarot. And don't you dare forget, we also have the Unicorn School of Light. The link is down below. If you're looking for extra beautiful support, we have courses at either free or very, very, very small prices for you. We have a 21-day course. Really get back into the magic of who you are and come back into your worthiness and your magic. And we also have an intuition and the oracle course going on too. That's a video course, 5 days, getting back into your intuition and your divine feminine and working with the oracle. All of those points can be used also for manifestation too. And we have a Beyond Fear for all of you empaths and sensitives out there, a 3-day course that is free. Links are down below. Come join us there, and the hundreds of you who have already done these courses. So we'd love to see you there too. Pile one, I'm really excited for your power to take off in a brand new way once you align yourself with the divine feminine on all chakras and all levels. You take care of yourself, and until we meet again, stay safe and sane. Bye-bye. Okay, pile two, if you chose the feather card, it's think first before you judge. And we have the 26 here, which could be 2 and 6, which is 8, coming into a sense of completion, coming into the number 10, but still understanding think first before you judge. So there's a few things going on there. Let's just move into our messages. And again, we are getting messages, channeling messages from your 5D future self. So the sense of self that knows all, knows exactly where you are. It's a 5D blueprint. The future is very much now. So you might have, for you, pile two, I'm already feeling like you've got 1 foot in this timeline, 1 foot in that timeline, trying to figure out what's next. The future is not set. But your future self knows how to get to the next step. So let's see what we've got. We've got our Halloween deck here. So 6 of pumpkins, 6 of pentacles here. And we have the beautiful imps, which is the 10 of wands, 10 of imps. Let's, so you can have a little look. 10 of imps and the 6 of pumpkins. And then we have our feather card. Think first before you judge. So the one thing that I'm getting here is that you're getting a little bit down on yourself, pile two. Now, these are general readings. So hopefully this resonates for most of you. But you're getting down on yourself. And the way that we can feel like you're getting down on yourself is because, you're usually quite removed from people, from people's judgments and things like that, and you really have done a lot of work on yourself, a lot of shadow work to figure out how you're being triggered and what's going on. And when you are triggered, you can really step away. You might initially get triggered, but then you figure it out and move through it quite easily. But just very recently, there's been this sort of this judgment mode whereby, and your inner mind is telling you a very specific thing. Like your practical mind is telling you that it's okay to be judgmental because it's a way for you to figure out, quote unquote, figure things out, right? You can figure out what's right and what's wrong. And once you've figured out, so you can discuss it and, sort of not even really being judgmental. You're just literally picking out what doesn't work and what's bad behavior, right? So now on the surface, there's nothing wrong with that. And your practical mind is telling you to do that because you're at a little bit of a loss. So when you're trying to figure out your next move and it hasn't become completely available to you yet, what you try to do is assess the world in which you live in right now. So your practical mind says, well, let's do this, right? Let's figure out what isn't working. It's, this isn't working in the world because these people are behaving like this and this is going on, this is going on. Yeah, I mean, that could be true. But the trap therein lies the trap. You're going into this polarity of right and wrong, good and bad. And your mind is pulling you back into a sort of understanding and a sort of energy, a low density energy that you really don't need. And quite frankly, you've kind of gone beyond it anyway. It's not, again, to reiterate, it's not that you don't get triggered anymore. It's just that you can work through the triggers and you can absolutely see where they come from. Direct it back to you. Your sense of victimness, or, the victimhoodness of this happened to me, you've really worked with, right? So, but there's an essence of that victimhood that's coming up right now. And again, real talk. We had it in pile 1. We'll do it again in pile 2. Real talk. That sort of victim sort of mentality of this happened to me. Now, things do happen. And I'm not saying that everything that's happening to people, be really careful about it, that they've, put out energy and that's... And that's what they deserve. That's not at all what we're saying. But things don't happen to us. Things happen for us so we can figure out how to live in this world. And some of the things that we go through, unfortunately, are not that great. They're not that great. And those are our biggest lessons. But taking away the victimhood part of everything just means that we can claim our power and reclaim our power from that and really stop any cycle so it doesn't move around and we're learning the same lesson just on different degrees. Now, you're not really doing that. You're absolutely moving forward, but there's just an essence of that lower density energy that's coming in that's trying to figure out what's going on. Now, while you're trying to figure out what's going on, you're actually equating your energy and attaching your energy to the 3D energy, to the energy that's really falling apart. And then, watching as everything falls apart. You do have that personality. Again, this is a general reading, but most of you have that personality where you'll overthink something. You'll take it apart and you'll figure it out. But in some ways, that's worked for you, and that's been wonderful because you can figure out your part in it. Right? Oh, that's what I did. And once you figure out your part, you extract your part from that, and then you figure out how you can heal from that one situation. The rest of it doesn't need to keep going over and over and over again. There's no reason for you to keep going over situations in order to try and figure things out. So if you're returning to the past in any way, shape, or form, and these are timeless readings, but right now we are in Mercury retrograde. It tends to bring up the past. It tends to bring up sort of unlearned lessons. Again, this is not a time for healing. I said this in pile 1. The healing has been done. This is a time to reclaim or claim wholeness. The work has been done. The shadow work has been done. You've worked on yourself immensely. There's nothing more to do. A little tweak in consciousness, a little understanding and revamping here and there, and certainly some releasing. But there's no actual work to be done. So don't get caught up in the understanding that I need to, yes, work with your inner child, integrate your inner child in every way that you possibly can. But know that, choose things that support working with your inner child. You don't need to go off and sit in a cave for a year and, and just work with your inner child. All of that work's been done. Yes, absolutely have energy around you that supports working with your inner child every day and all of that. That's absolutely wonderful. We're not saying, you're absolutely done. I can leave this earth. I've learned everything I possibly can. That's not what we're saying exactly. But everything that you needed to learn in order to be on your path and in order to shine like that lighthouse that you are has already been learned. You'll always be learning and integrating new modes of wisdom in your life. That's who you are. Again, you have the personality type that wants to break apart everything and see how it didn't work and put it back together again. And that's wonderful. But how it's working for you now may be working a little against yourself. There's no reason for you to be able to do that. You don't have to do that. Don't equate your energy. Don't meld your energy with the 3D and try and figure things out. Don't get back into this whole good, bad, evil, good, night, good. Well, there is night and day, but you know what I mean. Into this polarity thinking of right and wrong and good and bad. Those are the two things. Now, the way in which you are working is that you are harnessing your own energy, and the way in which your power, like for pile one, it was very specific to reclaim the essence of the divine feminine, right? In a brand new way, in a way that their life had been working up to it until this point. You are reclaiming the label victim. You are letting it go. You're letting it go. You understand what you're literally stepping out of that label victim once and for all. Now, you've done a lot of work on this already, so there's nothing more for you to do. You just have to release it. Anything that's happened for you, not to you. So in that way, you can look back on your life and be thankful for everything that's happened. Again, we're being very clear. It doesn't mean that you're letting people get away with treating you the way that you did or accepting their behavior. In fact, by pulling yourself out of the quote unquote sort of victim mode, and what that means, you are actually relinquishing your energy. You're taking your energy back from all of those situations and saying, no matter how you saw me and how you treated me, which was not okay, I'm pulling my energy back and we are done. It's over. You're taking your power back from that. Let's give you some Lord Ganesha too. For some of you who are having some sort of sleep, this might be a smaller percentage for you, but I just saw it's everything I see, I like to say. For those of you who are, your mind is running, and you're not getting as much sleep, or your sleep schedule is completely off, or you're not getting as much sleep as you normally do, that will level out very soon. It's just this, again, this relinquishing, this sort of reclaiming of the victim sort of mentality and label, and then releasing it is the final thing that you need to do. Now, you've done so many things in order to be able to do this. It's more of a ceremony of like, I'm doing this for good and you've done the work that will, because a lot of people are, I'm done being a victim, and then next week they're acting this, that, and the other. And that's their right to act any way they want. Again, we're not judging. But you're beyond that. You're not just saying, I'm done with this label. You've done all the work. What you need to do in order to really incorporate every aspect of who you are according to your future self is to literally just let it go. And then the work that you've done will integrate completely into your system, and you'll have this newfound grounded freedom of who you are, not having to level back into this, this judgment mode of who's right and who's wrong, and sort of displacing yourself. Now, if you find yourself being a little bit judgmental on people, that's just because you're judging yourself. And that's just a reflection of you judging yourself. It's coming out and you're seeing it in the external. So once you really relinquish this understanding of the, excuse me, of this victim label once and for all of that will fall into place, and you won't be judged. You won't judge yourself. Some of you are feeling a little bit bad about how you've been treated and how you allowed yourself to be treated. And you have an absolute right to do that. At some point, we do have to say, it happened, we have to let it go. You don't have to do this. But if you want to stop living in your past, your future self asks you to do that. And then it's a small step into the victimhood after that. So they're asking you to go back into the past too and really stamp out the understanding of victimhood and take your power back. So what have we got here? Enlightenment, absolutely. So much purple crown chakra. This is a gorgeous card. I hope you can feel the energy of this. Absolutely beautiful. This is where you want to go. You want that pure freedom, that unadulterated freedom that you often feel 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like six steps forward, 4 steps backwards. And you feel sometimes, but you don't often feel that you can keep that sort of 5 energy there, 5D energy there. Well, your future 5D self, you know, once you let go of these labels, this particular label, you can move into that 5D and keep it there, because there's nothing pulling you back into a sense of polarity, because all your mind is trying to do is to protect you and help you and trying to figure it out. If we take it all apart, your mind says, then we'll figure it out. Well, yes, in essence you do that, but then you lay fall to this trap of, you know, they're right, they're wrong, this isn't working, this is how they're behaving, this is terrible behavior. Now, they may be behaving terrible. They may be working from, you know, a sense of ignorance. You might have a point in everything that we're saying. We're not saying that, you know, when you look upon these situations and you get into this mind frame, that you don't have a point. But again, once you attach your energy with this sort of mentality, it decreases your frequency level. And if you want to stay at 5D, because you know what that feels like, you know when you're there, you can feel that freedom, you're not bound to anything. In the 3D version, you can see things objectively. You have this optimism and hope. You know you can heal every aspect of your life and body and help other people. There's a completely different mode to how you are. But once you attach yourself into this modality of the 3D, where you're trying to figure things out, or you're calling somebody ignorant, even if it's true or not, you're still melding your energy there, and then it pulls you down. It's a thick frequency. You can feel it. There's no reason for that anymore. When you're in the 5D mode, you know, everybody has, you know, Earth is a free will zone. People get to act the way that they want to. Now, you can't be disappointed. It's silly to be disappointed when somebody's acting ignorantly, because you accept the fact that they're choosing to act in that way. It's not like, you know, you shouldn't act like that. That's why you're getting annoyed. You shouldn't act like. They can act the way that they want. You know, it doesn't mean that we're justifying what they say and what they do. Not at all. But they can act the way that they want. That's the way this earth realm works. So if you just accept that not everybody has to fall into place and be who they think they should be, they get to be who they want. But you can say, I don't want this energy in my life. I don't agree with you. I don't need to agree with you. There's nothing here for me. We don't need to have our energy melded together. You have every right to do that. But when you're coming in from the 5D, it's much easier to do that instead of going into these modalities of right and wrong, good and bad, and then judgment. And remember, when you're judging the outer, it means you're judging the inner. So nobody wants you doing that. Absolutely. And this is your insight. This is sort of a brilliant way for you to really go in and just sort of rebirth the old, see things with this new clarity without the victim mindset. And again, for those of you who have been working with the victim mindset, so you don't really have it, you're not sitting there every day going, oh, woe is me, this happened to me. No, not at all. Most of you might have transcended it already, and then this time in history is bringing it up a little bit. Or that when you're stressed and you don't know the next move, or a little bit of doubt comes in, when you're trying to refigurate the world, then you release into the judgmental mode because you're trying to figure things out with the 3D energy, and then the victimhood is only like a minute away, right? So all we're saying is just, and you can do this in such a beautiful way. You can do it with so much power. I release this victimhood. I release all labels, all aspects of it, from my body, from my aura, from my past lives. You know, and absolutely be clear. It does not mean that I am excusing any of what I've been through, because a lot of you have been through a lot and you didn't ask for that, and it was not nice. It really wasn't. Some of you have been dragged from hell and back, the way in which you put yourself out there for people and the way in which you've been treated. And there's so much love and so much love around your pain and for all of those wounds that are coming up. We just, your future self and we, your guides, just want you to be able to envelop you in that love and bring back your power so you don't have to keep reliving some of the old wounds from the past. Because you can think you're fine and you've done all this, and then Mercury retrograde comes in and you go, what the hell is this again? What the hell, you know? So we don't want you to have to do that anymore. Resolving conflict, absolutely. We just said that. That's the way in which you can resolve the conflict in your life. Now look at the bottom here. We have love, empathy, compassion, understanding. All of those are coming from direct messages from your 5D. There's no judgment in there. There's no sorting this out. There's no let's get to the bottom of this, you know. There's objectivity, there's empathy. There's compassion, and that's what you can have from the 5D world, and to stay there continuously once you let go of the victimhood completely and totally. So I want to do one more of these two, because I want you to believe in your own magic, and this is the deck of believing in your own magic. So I want to do one of these two and see any other messages this one's calling to me. Forgive. It was upside down, it was reversed, but we're not doing that with these cards. Forgive. If there's anything, and again, we have the 2 and the 6 came up as the 8, right? As we're starting this reading, as we end this reading with the 10 here, you know, there might have to be some forgiveness of going back and regrouping of what happened to you. And go through every single instance very, very quickly, not going through everything and pulling it all apart, but bringing up something and putting the level of forgiveness. Now, we don't necessarily want you to have to forgive the other person that was in there, but please forgive yourself. When you're judging other people, you're judging yourself. There's a part of you, and again, these are general readings, so this may be only for a small section of you, but some of you still have not forgiven yourself for staying in those situations or putting yourself in those situations or not acting the way in which you thought you could have, because you're seeing it from this point of view. And your point of view now, of course, is a completely different person. You weren't that person back then. And also, you needed to learn that lesson. It was happening for you, not to you. So again, layer in that information when you're going back and reclaiming and then releasing the victimhood. All you have to do is forgive yourself in every single of that situation. You were doing the absolute best that you possibly could, and you acted the best that you could in those situations. Please forgive every aspect of your past and release it for good once and for all with that label of victimhood. And we're going to end with fairy dust messages, because we really want to get you back into that inner child, that lightness, that beauty. For those of you who are feeling as though they've been sinking, your power and energy is right there. It's just this little wall that's been put around you right now, because a little bit of forgiveness needs to happen. And again, that relationship with the victimhood label just needs to be retweaked, and then it will reveal your power. Your power doesn't need to grow. You have everything you need to move forward. You have everything, especially success in business, to move forward. It's just this energy that's keeping you a little bit stagnant right now, but all it needs is a little tweaking, and then you will take off in glorious ways. Animal healing. No matter the creature, earth, sky, or sea, animals show us how true love can be. Absolutely. You know, as you're doing this, I know this is an absolute luxury for some, you know, so if you can take some time, if you have animals, nature animals, really hermit yourself into this energy of releasing right now. Take a couple of days if you can, and just have, or even a couple of hours or 20 minutes, just take the energy for yourself. It's all yours for the taking. Go back and forgive. Do a little bit of meditation with really specific intentions of releasing the victimhood or the label. You've released the victimhood, release the label of the victim that may be interlaced a little bit. And once you start forgiving your past, then that victimhood label will just disintegrate. But yeah, make your space, clean up your space, declutter your space, you know, hone in on your space, and make yourself a nice little protective barrier for yourself while you do this final level of relinquishing the past. Again, the healing's already been done. Relinquishing the past, you know, bring in your animals, do that, you know, wear the color pink, whatever it is that you need to do that grounding, and do some breathing, some conscious conscious breathing, whatever you need to do to really bring in this energy to release it once and for all, it will really help you. But yeah, just get into that cozy energy right now. If you're in the Western Hemisphere, we're in fall, we're coming into winter, but we're in that cozy energy anyway, so it should be quite easy for you to do that. Try and find the time and space for this time. It will be really, really wonderful for you to do this. So that's what I have for you, pile 2. I really hope we gave you some support and energy and beauty. And again, you're already there. All you have to do is just a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of releasing. So if this resonated with you, do feel free to give me a thumbs up and do let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And if you have not subscribed already, I urge you to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family. We would love to have you. And do not forget, there's so much more support and love for you down below. We have the Unicorn School of Light. We have 3 beautiful courses for you to choose from. One of them is free. It's called Beyond Fear. The other 2 really reasonably priced. We know a lot of people don't have a lot of money right now. So they're priced with that in mind, but there's a lot of healing and support. Our 21-day beautiful working with our unicorns, bringing back magic into your life. Really, really important. And then we have our video showcase, 5 days, intuition and the oracle, working with the divine feminine and working with manifestation too. And again, our free course of working beyond fear. So check out that link below. We would love to have you there at the Unicorn Light School of Light. So until we meet again, pile 2, I'm really excited for you to move forward in the way that you already will do as soon as you pull back your own power and relinquish those labels. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, all you pile 3s out there, don't forget we have the healing candle. If you chose raindrops, then we have raindrops. Take a chance on them. That's the last part of this card. Raindrops, take a chance on them. I love this card. And look at the fairies all around. That's beautiful. And as a reminder, we are channeling messages from your 5D future self. The 5D blueprint, the future is right now. So get you some information about from your 5D self. And a lot of you are already in, there's different timelines, nothing set necessarily, but like there's an essence of your 5D self already within. So we're just getting some more clarity moving forward. So that's your first card, Raindrops, take a chance on them. And of course we have to have the Halloween Tarot. So we have the 3 of Ghosts, the 3 of Cups, celebration. And then the Knight of Ghosts here, this wonderful card. I love the Ghost card. Also, Cups. So the first message that I'm getting for you, pile 3, is absolutely celebration. For those of you who have been missing your soul family. Now, this is a timeless reading, but right now, obviously, the world is crazy. And a lot of us are not necessarily on lockdown, but things have shifted when it comes to how we are in and around people, certainly. And I think for the next couple of years, they will be different. So we're a little bit more reflective, which causes us, of course, to become a better version of ourselves. But, in that time and in that energy, there's also a little bit of loneliness, there's a little bit lack of connection there. So for those of you who are feeling this anyway, but for those of you, I feel as though for pile 3, you haven't really, you've met aspects of your soul family, but they may not be living around you. And regardless of the situation that we're actually in the world, they're actually physically not around you. So having people completely and totally in your life. And again, these are general readings, so this is what I'm picking up for some of you. So it's been sort of tough for you to navigate the waters. You've had some great people throughout your life. You've had some people who are, as we'd say at home, salt of the earth type people. But again, even when they've been in and around you, they may not be in and around you now. So it's not like you've not had the support. It's not like you've not had people in and around you. You know what a good relationship is like. You know what a supportive relationship is like, even from afar, but you're really looking to expand that. You're really looking to have that integrated fully into your life, on a sort of a new level. And you may not have, you know, I feel as though a lot of you are chameleons. You know, you have a personality type that's absolutely gorgeous and brilliant, but you can fit it anywhere. But you've decided to really shift that recently, where, you know, you're the sort of person that, you know, when you go into a room, you really acclimate to the energy of the room. You've decided to not do that anymore. So when you walk into the room, people will acclimate to you. That's the power that you have. That's what you're leading up to. Now, you've kept yourself under close watch, as it were. And your 5D self is telling you that you no longer needed to do this. Now, a lot of you actually needed to stay in protective mode for one reason or another. And there are so many of you listening to this. So, you know, you all know why you needed to do it. And there's no judgment. And sometimes you really do need to stay protected. Sometimes we're in situations where we don't feel as though we can be completely open. And, you know, you have an insane, beautiful intuition that absolutely knows when to shut down and when not to. So you're used to going into situations knowing that there is a connection there, or knowing that there is a lesson there, knowing that, you know, some of you on some level might be settling, but you're willing to have this experience, but you're not willing to be completely open. Some of you may have even used sort of alcohol as a sort of a social lubricant, or other things too, which again is no judgment, totally understandable. You know, there's not an addict mentality necessarily throughout pile 3. It's more of doing what you needed to do in order to survive. Now you're taking out the surviving and you're moving into thriving. And in many areas of your life, you really are thriving. When you look back in the last sort of like 6 months, year, 5 years, you can really see how far you've come. You might have to level it up by really looking back and seeing completely different you are, even in the last 3 months, what you put up with versus what you won't anymore, and who you are. You know, you have this beauty to you, believing in that beauty. And, you know, this is a completely different energy to pile 2. So I don't necessarily suggest that you go back there necessarily, unless of course you feel called to, in which case do whatever you need to do. But there is this energy that you share with pile 2, insofar as that you really have this beautiful nurturing heart, and a lot of people took advantage of that. So shutting down was completely understandable. And also, you know, there were a lot of life lessons that you needed to learn. Oh my goodness. I mean, I feel for you, pile 3. You have an enormous amount of karma that you needed to go through. But your life is your own now. The karma's gone through all of that. So the people that were brought into your life could have been, you know, Akashic records, could have been like soul contracts, karmic things that needed to be worked through, karmic lessons that needed to be worked through. So in many ways and in many levels, those situations were not perfect for you. And again, you use your chameleon sense of self to fit in and make the best of it. That's one thing I can say about you. There's one thing we can say about you, pal 3. You make the best out of every situation. Now that's wonderful, but you're being asked not to have to make the best out of every situation, not to have to reduce yourself in any way, shape, or form. You know, it's about the universe matching your frequency now, not you having to just work with whatever is around you anymore. You don't need to do that. So, you know, you've traveled a lot, you've learned a lot, you have a knowledge of wealth, you've moved through this karma, you're now in a brand new state of self where you understand that the power comes within you and you're not settling anymore. But yeah, there was this hurt from before. You were treated, you know, by people who, yeah, I mean, they seemed nice and they were nice. And, you know, and some of it could have been like sort of jealousy too, you know, not that the other person or the other situation would have noticed that, you know, been able to be so clear with where they're coming from and their behavior, to actually like focus on them being actually jealous of you. But that could have been a part of it also. But regardless of where they were coming from and how they, you know, why they treated you like that, you got treated in a certain way where you did shut down just a little bit, but you do have that yearning to be seen. Now, you used to want to be seen by the entire world. So maybe you had these really affluent kind of like I want to be totally successful. I want to be famous. I want to be this, that, and the other, which is totally understandable. Now, a lot of you don't want that anymore. In fact, a lot of you actually shy away from that sort of attention. So you probably wouldn't want that anymore. That's not to say that you wouldn't want the right kind of attention and be successful in what you do. You definitely deserve to be in the limelight for what you do. But what you strived for initially probably isn't there anymore. And we can tell you why. It's very simple. It's all you wanted to do was be seen, but you were never really truly seen for who you were. So that desire to be seen grew and grew and grew until it became this, this massive, I need to be famous or something like that. But you don't have that anymore because you've dealt with the understanding of not being seen for who you are. And not being seen for who you are comes down a little bit to the fact that you've not shown people who you are. Again, you've hidden behind that chameleon aspect. And when people weren't acting that way, you've had a lot of people around you too. If you do call on people and you say, I believe in this person, I don't really like how they're treating me, or I'm going to point this out because that's who I am. And you'll say, they'll come back and they won't deal with it. They'll put it back on you or this, that, and even when you did try to move things forwards, in previous relationships, you still kind of got rained on with shit, right? Pardon my French, real talk here. So it's totally understandable that you stayed a little bit closed down. It's totally understandable. But your future self is saying, now is the time to open up. If you really truly get in touch with the fact that you want that celebration, you want that family, you want that love, you want to be seen in all of your relationships, you want to have people who are on your level, who see you for who you are, understand what you've been through because they've been through it too, have worked through all of that. You want to be acknowledged in a way that you really haven't or you have done in certain instances, but you want that reflected throughout your life. And that's totally understandable. And that is absolutely there for you. You're being asked to break down and unbuild, pull down that wall that you previously had to allow in this beautiful celebratory energy that's coming into your life. It's actually there knocking on the door, right? And all you need to do is to allow it in. It's not that far off. So we've got Lord Ganesha here, achievement, absolutely. Now you should, there's no two ways about it. You want to be seen for what you do, and you have that drive. You want to be successful. You want to be at the top of your game, or you want to be seen for the individualistic essence of what it is that you do, because you are unique and you do have a new sort of take on things. You really get to the bottom of things, and you're able to give people or present the sort of information that not a lot of people are able to do and resonate with people on a really intricate level. People can come in and around you and have sort of instantaneous healing. You really do have that level of wisdom to you. It's layered in, it's beautiful, your energy is there. You don't always believe that you have it. And you often feel a little bit afraid of the power that you have, because you know that you have power around yourself. I think that's why you've hidden yourself a little bit. You didn't, you were afraid of the sort of power that you had. And sometimes when you did show aspects of it, again, people did not treat you that well because they were either jealous or they were frightened of it. But all of that is gone. Again, very similarly to pile 2, you've learned all of the lessons that you needed to learn. Nothing was done to you, it was done for you. So you've learned all of those lessons. There's no actual healing to be done. There's just this releasing and this understanding that new beginnings are trying to come in and again are knocking at the door. So it's just pulling down the last remnants of those walls that you built out of protection that again you needed, but you don't need them anymore. Oh, hello, openness. I just pulled that out. Openness, that's it. Being really open and not hiding aspects of yourself or waiting to be completely comfortable in certain situations to let out certain aspects of your personality. It's time for you to step into your true power and just be who you are all the time. And honestly, if people can't take it, let them fuck off. There's a million other people to be around. The ones, to be that open, to pull down those walls and to allow in the people that are knocking at the door, those people are going to support you. You don't need 100 friends. You'll know 100 people, You're the sort of person that can go into, again, any situation and really charm anyone should you want to, because you do see the essence of beauty in every single person, even if they're fucking up, or even if they're, they're not doing as well as they could be and they're saying really stupid things and you're kind of disappointed in them. You still see the beauty in who they are, and there's still promise. You still hold space for them and empathy for them to become a better version of self. So you can fit into any circumstance, but it's now for you to pull in that power, ground into that source of power, and be that person in the openness of who you are at all times. And in that taking down of that wall, the people who will absolutely see you, who are knocking on that door, can come in and give you that support that you are absolutely craving and honestly deserve, even if you have a certain amount of support around you and you don't feel completely alone. And for those of you who feel completely alone, these people are coming in your soul family. And for those of you who don't feel completely alone, and you have support, it's just not in and around you 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, then this is elements of like having that close proximity coming in for you. Yes, and commitment. I did feel that too, with the oneness and the opening, with the commitment. For those of you who are already in a relationship, a new level of commitment is coming in because those walls are coming down. Keeping people at arm's length is what you did. Again, you're working through that. You're no longer being asked to do that. You're asked to bring down those walls. But again, we do understand that the protection needed to be there, and that's totally fine. But you don't need that anymore. You've worked through all of it. You don't need it. Allow in the celebration. When you shut down for protection, you also shut out some of that joy. That's what we do. Yes, you stay protected. Yes, you felt like you needed to do that. And again, we will reiterate, that's what you needed to do. No judgment here, but you shut out that joy. You shut out the energy, the attraction of bringing people in. Being understood at a soul level, where somebody looks in your eye and they just get you, and having that face-to-face is what you're owed, is why you're here, that level of connection. It's coming in for you, and all you have to do is meet it halfway. That's it. And then we have maturity. Absolutely. I love this. And, working with your guides, and for those of you who are writers or poets or are journaling right now or are involved in some kind of research that's specific to writing things down and helping others feel safe and open in this world. This is just something that you're going to do. People are going to feel safe around you, which is ironic because for most of your life path through, you did not feel safe in the world. And the circumstances were around you did not really level up on that safety. They did not, whatever it is, it's not that you attracted, it was part karma too. It's not like you attracted it, so you were going around in loops. Again, old souls, so many things that you needed to go through. And it's heartbreaking when we look back on your life to see that what you needed to do to protect yourself and to learn this stuff, absolutely. But you were here to teach others to be open and beautiful and to feel safe in the world. And that's what you get as a kind of an offshoot of letting in this joy and allowing in this soul family. And also for those of you who are not in a relationship yet, a commitment is coming in. It's not really just a commitment to yourself, it's a commitment to somebody else. So again, if you're in a relationship, it's going to be a new level of commitment, because the openness there, a new level of really interacting and having that intimacy. The word for you is intimacy. That's what you're going to be gaining here. I do want to have one of these because believe in your own magic. We did start with, this deck. We did start with this deck, so I definitely want to have one more of these. So, and they're just flying all over the place. Give me 1 second here while I get these for you. So, yeah. These are the ones, they literally, as we get so excited, we're flinging around the camera now. So these literally flew out. Mirror, treat your body like the palace that it is. There is this mirror for how much you were shut down and how much that was let in. And then again, voyage, you already have all the answers. So this is the past, remembering that, you know, where you were in the past, there needs to be some forgiveness there. You were only as open as you could be because there was a sense of protection. Now, you were put in these circumstances because you knew, your soul knew that you would be able to develop from them. And again, you had a lot of old karma to go through. It was not easy. A lesser person or somebody who did not have such an old soul as you would not have been able to survive the way in which you did, coming out and learning how to thrive. So, you know, relax on what's happened before. It was all a mirror again. What was done for you, not to you, but that's over now. Your karma is brand new. And remember that if there's any old energy that's still residing a little bit from that old stuff, do some meditation and some breathing and some meditations, specific meditations for getting out the old energy of needing to protect yourself, because you know those boundaries, those layers are still there a little bit, but what you're asking to do, this is speaking to me on so many levels here. You have a brand new world. We're going to treat this as the world card, you know, the wheel of fortune and the world. I mean, you really have to go in any direction that you want. This is a brand new beginning for you. It's not a beginning. It's an opening up of senses to allow in this new aspect of where you are going to go in this lifetime. There's so much for you in this lifetime once you pull down just the small essence of needing to feel protected and then allowing in these new blessings that are coming in. So your 3D self says all you need to do is to release the old need to protect and really come into the oneness of yourself. And appreciate and accept every aspect of who you are, no longer dumbing yourself down or dumbing yourself down for any situation anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if situations just fall away, or people that you know that you had settled in your life, wonderful people, but they will just sort of fall away. There's really nothing that you need to do here. There's no action that you need to take. All of it will just fall away and leave you with this beautiful, wonderful openness that you absolutely and completely deserve, this oneness with yourself. So take down those protective barriers, because those are keeping you from the joy, the soul family, this new level of commitment that you have, or this commitment coming in, and really revel in this beautiful understanding of when the soul family comes in, or when this new level of connection and intimacy comes to you. It will be like nothing other. You'll be living on a completely different sort of realm. We have the fairy dust, keeping it light and beautiful here for a final message. Again, want to reiterate, there's no more healing that needs to be done here. There's just a little bit of tweaking of releasing and understanding where you are. The work has already been done. Please appreciate everything that you've been through. I know a lot of you have been through hell and back, but that's how you can stand. That's how you can stand for others and be a light for others, because you've been through all of this. And not only have you survived it, but you're coming into the thriving openness of who you are. You would never be able to be in this part of openness if you had not been so closed before. And you've opened yourself up in so many different ways. You're not closed and protected like you were before, but it's just the final remnants of bringing it down. Yes, play, step outside and feel the sun, breathe the air, play, have some fun. And that's the other thing, you know, you can get so serious sometimes, especially the way in which you approach life is like as if you're getting tested sometimes. You know, the way in which you have approached the healing process has been thorough and gorgeous and getting right in there, and you know, nothing said about that. No stone unturned for you there, Pile 3. But lighten up, get some play, some beautiful, some inner child work, you know, come back to that magical energy that's you, that openness, that celebratory energy, and really just see this as just a really quick tweak of consciousness. And that's exactly where you need to be. You don't need to take this on as anything heavy or anything big to take on. You've done the work already. Enlighten up. That's what I like to say. Enlighten up and allow this play and fairy dust energy to really integrate within your soul, and allow the guides to come in and just lift off the burden of the old. And remember to really spend some time releasing any old energy that's still there from, resentment of old stuff. And it's not integrated into your soul, but it just might need to be cleared out. Just a real preliminary clear out, and really leave you just beautiful. And especially from second chakra, sacral chakra, creative chakra there. Some of you just need to clear out, and so if you've had some digestive issues or even reproductive issues, they should clear out. Once you clear out that energy, they might have just suddenly come in, but they will clear out. You just need to release that energy. Again, it's already been healed, just needs to be released. So if this resonated with you, Pile 3, and I sincerely hope it did, and we gave you some support and some beauty for you there, do feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if it resonated. I love hearing from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed, of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon for these 2 videos a week so you can become part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family. We would love to have you. And don't forget, there's always amazing support at the Unicorn School of Light. The link is always down below. We have 3 beautiful courses right now. One of them is Free Beyond Fear. So for all you sensitives out there, it's a 3-day course. And then we have 2 other beautiful courses, very, very cheap. We know a lot of people don't have a lot of money right now, but getting back your magic, working with your intuition, your divine feminine, whatever you want, we've got the 2 courses down below. So go ahead and check out that link and come and join us for more support and love. We would love to have you and the hundreds of people that are already working within our courses in our school. So come join us there. All right there, Pile 3, you stay safe and sane and enjoy all this beauty coming into your life. And until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.